Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? I can see about 23 people on the call already. Hello, my name is Sharifat Bakare. You can call me Shari for short, and I will be your co host on today's event. Um, you can let me know where you're zooming in from. I'm speaking from Lagos, Nigeria. So you can please introduce yourself in the chat and just say your first name and also let's know where you're zooming in from on this Saturday. And thank you very much for making time out to join us on this event. You know, we're trying to also look at the topic embracing equity, building digital skills for life. And of course, at its core, it also underscores the essence of what we stand for at Stanbic IBTC, which is essentially empowering women and girls to acquire the essential and necessary digital skills that enables them to navigate the digital world, to innovate, create, and pursue their dreams. And of course, over the course of the event, as we reflect on the challenges that women in tech continue to face, it is also important to acknowledge the progress that has been made. Whether it's in pioneering motorcycle medics, like one of our speakers, Folake, or researching uncharted topics in the DeFi space, like Teju Adeyinka, one of our um, guests, or even leading innovative and creative ideas in a financial industry. Um, I mean, I just want all of us to have an open mind and, just walk with us on this journey, because, I mean, we'll continue to honor those women that have scaled the heights of success in tech, even though, even as they have overcome the pervasive obstacles of gender bias and discrimination. And of course, we're encouraged, by this, by the increasing number of women who are working in tech, and of course, the active efforts being made by our various stakeholders. So sit back, relax. Over the course of the event, we'll be hearing from our amazing speakers. Of course, um, I'll introduce them in a more detailed way much later. We'll hear about them, we'll be inspired by them, and most importantly, would get to learn from them, walk through with them on their journeys as they equip us with knowledge and invaluable insights on the digital skills required to thrive in the tech industry. So I would encourage all of us to engage actively, you know, chat in the just send us a chat in the chat room. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send it in. And of course, the most important thing really is about the connection that we hear, that we get to experience here. And just before we dive in, let me just take us through a bit of housekeeping session. Don't forget that this is a live event. You'll be able to ask questions, raise your hands digitally. And of course, if you experience network disruptions, please, you can rejoin. Please, I need us all to be mentally present. I have a notebook here with me and a pen. I'm prepared to take all the notes that I can from our guests. And of course, there are prizes to be won. Who doesn't like winning prizes or freebies? So I need us all to be very much attentive, so that we can experience that. And of course, we would like to know you better. So you have to please stay till the end of the event. We would like to crave your indulgence. Stay till the end of the event. You have an opportunity to submit your resume, either for yourself or for someone that you know. And of course, you'd have an opportunity to share like a feedback with us. So for subsequent events, we can take feedback on some of the things that you would like to see. So I would introduce my co-host, Ifunaya, who is going to take us through the icebreaker session and some of the prizes. So she's the quiz lady. So once you see Ifunaya come up, you know that someone is going to be smiling home with something something nice. So please pay attention. And we thank you once again for taking your time to join this event. We promise that you'll be better for it at the end of the 3 hours that we have scheduled for this event. So Ifunanya, please take us through the icebreaker session. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Apologies. How could I miss out on a very, very important VIP on this event? So before Ifunanya comes up, see, I'm already excited. I just wanted us to go through through that session so that somebody can win. Ifunanya, I hope I can also win, because I think just the thought of winning is already going through my mind. So please make welcome Lara Oshunshoko. She's one of our women leaders in Stanbic IBTC. She heads up the partnerships team and is the chairperson of Blue Women Network, to kindly share a welcome address with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sherifat. Indeed, a pleasure to be here. Welcoming our guest panelists that have chosen to spend time with us here today. We look forward to an exciting time. And for every lady and gentleman in the room, it's a good morning, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this gathering of brilliant minds and trailblazers in technology. Today, we celebrate the contributions of women in technology and acknowledge their roles in the development of the industry. Technology is advancing, and its influence is felt across diverse aspects of our lives. As a dynamic and innovative sector, different types of tech serve unique purposes. This could only have been possible due to the strides that we've had in the industry. Despite the prevalence of the perceived domination by the male folk in the industry, women, I dare say, have been able to overcome these challenges and barriers and have become headliners in the various tech fields. By 2022, it was said that women held 26.7% of jobs in technology. This is notable compared to the entry level or top level roles where women are underrepresented. Our efforts to increase the participation of women in all spheres of the technological space have seen Stanbic IBTC implementation of several initiatives and this is aimed at supporting women in the male-dominated field. One of such initiatives includes organizing various training and development programs to help women in the technology industry acquire those necessary skills to succeed. The organization has also been a key sponsor of other tech-related events for women, like the Women in Tech Africa Summit, which brings together female tech entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators from across the continent. The summit provides a platform for women in tech to be able to network, to share ideas, and collaborate on new projects. Following up on our strides, Stanbic IBTC organized an event for women in tech themed Building a Career in Tech, Break the Glass Ceiling. I'm sure some of you must have joined that event at the time. And it was aimed at encouraging more Nigerian women and girls to take up careers in science, in technology, in engineering, and mathematics. In addition to celebrating our wins, this event, I believe, will further build on our efforts to continually push women forward in the tech space, breaking the glass ceilings and indeed excelling on all fronts. Once again, thank you for honoring us to be at this event on this auspicious occasion. And we truly believe that this event will spur you to greater heights. Thank you and enjoy the morning.
Thank you so much, Lara. Thank you for that amazing welcome address. Thank you. We really appreciate that. So the next thing to do will be, and I hope you guys can please give my Chairperson, Blue Women Network, Digital Applause. Thank you so much. So, Ifunaya, over to you for the icebreaker. So we can wake everybody up. We know it's still early morning and a lot of you have made great efforts to be here. So let's just kick it away with the icebreaker session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharifa, and good morning, everyone. Like Sharifa has said, I'm here to make sure that you win something and basically to wake you up. So before we get into this amazing session, we're going to do a little icebreaker just to ensure that, everyone is a bit ginger. There are prizes to be won, like Sharifa has said. So please ensure that you're active, you're listening, and you participate. And for this first session, what we're going to be doing is a game called Two Truths and One Lie. So what we've done is there are 3 questions or 3 facts, 3 sets of 3 facts where 2 of them are true and 1 of them is a lie. So what I'm going to be expecting you to do is tell us which is a lie and tell us what the truth is. So they are numbered 1 to 3. So what you just do is whichever one is a lie, just pick it out. And the first person to answer that is the winner. And I'm going to be recording that. So the first one we have is the first computer was built in a garage. The first computer mouse was made of wood, and the first webcam was invented in 1991. So please put in your answers in the chat room. I'm looking out for the answers, and the first person to say this, or the first person to answer, is going to be the winner. I can see some answers already. I still haven't seen a winner. Okay, so I'm understanding that the chat room is not enabled. So what I can see people doing is entering their answers in the Q&A section. So you can actually just do that. I'll pick the winner from there. Okay, so I'm just going to be displaying the answer because I think we've seen a winner. The answer is the first webcam was invented in 1991. So the first person to answer that was Chisom Ugonna. The first webcam was actually invented in 1993, so that's the lie. However, the first computer was actually built in a garage, and the first computer mouse was actually wood and not plastic as we know it today. So I'll be going to the second question. So for the second question, the word robot originated from a Czech word. Nokia's first product was a phone. General Motors made the first self-driving car. I'll be looking out for responses. Okay, so I think I've also gotten a winner for this. The winner I can see here is Adewumi Ale. I hope I got your name right. The first, the lie is that Nokia's first product was a phone. Nokia's first product was actually tissue paper, not a phone. I think that's very surprising. So Adewumi Ali was the winner of that round. And so I'll just be moving on to the next round. The world's largest computer is located in China. Google was originally called Backrub, and Alexa is always listening to your conversations. Still waiting for answers to this. Okay. So the lie is number 1, that's the world's largest computer is located in China. The world's largest computer is actually located in Japan and not China. And so I can see Adiola Adenubi as the winner for this round. And then the final one we would have is the first computer programmer was a man. The first alarm clock could only ring at 4 a.m. and Android is gender specific. Please submit your answers. I'm looking out for them. Looking out. Okay. Okay, so I think we have a winner here as well. The winner for this round is Victoria Enosobota. the first computer programmer was a woman. And as you can see, we're here celebrating women in tech. And it's really interesting because we say that, tech is a male-dominated field. However, the first computer programmer was actually a woman. The first alarm clock could only ring at 4 a.m. That's true. And Android is gender specific. Female Androids are called, Android itself is like a male, is male per gender, while female androids are called gynoids. So thank you very much. We'll be moving over to the next part of the session, and it promises to get interesting. Please, Sharifa, I'll be handing over to you.
Thank you very much, Ifunanya, for that. Thank you so much. I see that a couple of people were talking about the chat being disabled. Apologies for that. We got most of the answers for this round via the Q&A section, but for subsequent rounds, please, you can put your answers in the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you. So the next session that we'll be moving on to will be a presentation by Adora Unwodo, and she'll be exploring Destination Unknown, Take a Chance, Make the Leap. So I would read a short citation about her just so that you can get to know a little bit about Adora, and then just get ready with your pen and paper so that you can pay attention to listen to her. So here goes. Adora is a multi-award-winning software engineer based in Lagos, Nigeria. She currently works at Microsoft, where she builds mixed reality on the cloud. She's also the vice president of the Nigerian chapter for VRAR Association. Our work there involves creating more awareness for virtual and augmented realities technologies. Apart from building and advocating for mixed reality technologies, Adora is a digital creator and the COO of Lend the Land of Hope Initiative, an NGO focused on empowering young people in rural communities through education and skill acquisition. She has courses online that teaches people about infrastructure automation, and she has also published multiple articles on software engineering, productivity, and career growth on her blog, Adora Hack. She has a YouTube channel for Adora Hack where she posts tech content and that could be useful to software developers. Currently, Adora is a student of LEAD in the Stanford University Graduate School of Business. Adora is also an author. She has authored a popular book called Cloud Engineering for Beginners. This book is currently helping a lot of people start their career as cloud engineers. She's also the author of Beginning Azure DevOps, a book published by Wiley. Adora spends a lot of her time on Twitter and LinkedIn sharing about her experience as a woman in tech. I hope you guys are noting that so that you can follow her on those platforms. She's extremely passionate about the developer community in Nigeria and is trying to drive inclusion for women in technology. She co-organizes community events for Unstack Africa, contributes to open source, and speaks at technology conferences worldwide. Thank you so much, Adora. I already feel lucky to have you on board. So please take your presentation. Take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that introduction. I really appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here this morning. Thank you for for allowing me to be here today and talk about this and talk about things that I generally find interesting. So I will be talking about taking a chance and making the leap. And I think this is an important thing to talk about because many times in life, we take different chances. We take chances on people. Some people are bold enough to take chances in their career, in like other areas of their lives. Because at the end of the day, it's not a marathon, or rather, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it's a continuous journey. And, in the course of life, you would go through so many hoops. So, taking chances and taking some risks at some level is something that is important. It could open like multiple doors for you. And the major thing that I'm going to be doing in this presentation is sort of like guiding you through, different ways that you can, or rather a framework that I've created that can help you leap into new and exciting opportunities if this is something that you are interested in some way. So I'm going to ask a very important question, and I would like to see your answers in the chat, like after this presentation. I'd like to see your answers in the chat, but I want you to tell me why it is important for women to take the leap, why you think you should take the leap, try something, take a chance on something, or take a calculated risk in the first place. Why is that something you want to try? Why is it something that you feel like women in tech should do? And this is my own answer, so don't copy me, but I'd like to see yours. The truth is that tech needs more women. I'm going to give you the most basic example, which is the fact that, let's say I have to build a period tracking app, for example, or an app for something else that is more particular to women. Do you think that it's important for women to be involved in that process of building that app for the sake of representation? It's important, because let's even look at what's happening in the industry today at work. A lot of women are complaining about policies that are created, because at the time when these policies were created, when corporate jobs were becoming a thing, many women were not taking these jobs yet. So the people that were available created policies, created a system that works for them, not because they're trying to be malicious or anything, but because that's all they know. You can't know more than you know, right? So it's important for people that have, a different experience, different outlook on life, and, just process things differently, to also be part of products that concern them, decisions that concern them as well, just so that it's actually a good decision for everyone. I'm going to give this example. If you go to an office and the office is talking to you about having work-life balance and all of that, and you go to the office, physical office, you are most likely to see a ping pong table before you see a daycare, right? Because in everyone's mind, a ping pong table is nice, let's go play. But I mean, like, if you have women that work in these organizations that are mothers, especially when their children are still very young and they're not like, taking them to school just yet, but they want to return to the office, what's going to happen to those children when they have to go to work, right? So these are just like examples that I'm giving, but it's clear that tech needs more women because, first of all, the tech industry is a dynamic and fast-growing sector, and it plays a crucial role in shaping our world. If you look around you, technology is everywhere. Right now, you are in this session because somebody woke up one day and decided to build a meeting application, a video conferencing application that can allow us to have this event today. Technology. We're impacted by technology even in the very, very little ways. Technology faces significant diverse challenges with the underrepresentation of women, minorities, and marginalized groups. And studies have shown that diverse teams lead to better problem solving and innovation in tech industries. I pointed it out when I used the period app example. And even beyond innovation in these tech industries, also in policies that help, every single gender feel like, they are ahead and gives them the ability, empowers them to be able to bring their most authentic selves to the office, right? Ping pong tables are not what women need at the office, but we need more women to talk to more reasonable men in power for them to understand that this is not what we need, so that they can be more empathetic and actually create things that actually help us as well as we go to the office. diverse perspectives and experiences bring fresh ideas and insights, and this can foster creativity and drive more inclusive technological solutions. I started using Google Maps as like, the time I started using Google Maps, it was still like a white lady's voice or whatever. And then one day I just noticed that there's a Nigerian woman telling me to turn left, and she's saying it with so much aggression. And when she's saying it, she's shouting. And it feels more relatable to me. And since I changed to that new voice, I don't think I've gone back from that. And there are even other things as well. Like, imagine if there was a time when even on WhatsApp and on BBM, the emojis there that looks like people only looks like white people. There was a time that if you go to Unsplash, that's the website where people can get free images to use to do, their websites or their creatives or anything like that, you'd mostly see images of white people. Now I'm using race just because I'm trying to show that representation matters, right? And I'm using the example of race. Over time, more people started speaking up, and now we have representation in our WhatsApp emojis. We have representation if you go online, if you want to find a Black person drinking tea because you want to use that picture to do something, you can. So we need more representation, for women as well. We need more women taking on tech careers because they have different genders process things differently, right? So they have different insights, they have different ideas. And it's always interesting when you bring like diverse perspectives and put everything in one place, because you would have a richer product that serves like the global ecosystem at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, the world consists of so many people, so many demographics, so many genders, so many, so many races as well, right? So being able to create something that resonates with everyone and people find relatable will help businesses as well. So it sort of, eats into my next point, which is lack of diversity can result in biased algorithms and products that do not meet the needs of diverse users and missed opportunity for market growth. Because at the end of the day, you're not building for a particular sector, you're building for everyone. Inclusive tech teams can better understand and address the diverse needs of a global user base, and embracing diversity in the tech industry is not only a matter of fairness and equality, but also a strategic advantage for companies seeking long-term success. Everybody's now talking emerging markets, Africa, emerging markets. They've built things for themselves, but now a lot of people are still looking at other markets, even beyond Africa as well, right? So the point is there's global opportunity. And when you are creating global opportunity, you're not creating global opportunity just for men. you are also, trying to build things that the women in those different areas that you want to go in can tap into. And the better way to do this is to build things that are more relatable. And if you're going to build things that are relatable, you need people that understand in the first place. And I'm now going to talk about embracing the unknown and taking the leap. I've talked about how tech needs women, but I know that as I'm saying tech needs women, there's some people here that are like, please, can I just really just focus on my life and be a baby girl and be on Instagram and just be watching reels and be fine? You can, but the truth is, if you can also aspire to be more. And embracing the unknown enables us to tap into our creativity, adapt to changing circumstances, and unlock our full potential. It's through these daring leaps into the unknown that we not only expand our horizons, but we pave the way for innovation, breakthroughs, and extraordinary achievements. The world is the way the world is today because people woke up and decided to do something. People woke up and decided to take the leap, essentially, right? That's why the world is the way the world is today. So people built things, people created systems, people have been innovating and are constantly innovating, and everyone has talents, whatever your talent is. The truth is, I'm a firm believer of, empty yourself in the world before you die. I'm a firm believer of I should die empty, I want to give the world as much as I can give, and then, die empty and then that's it, right? And I always preach that because that's what I believe. So based on that, sometimes you might need to embrace the unknown so that you can further tap into your creativity. I mean, at the end of the day, how will you actually know how big your mouth is if you don't attempt to bite more than you can chew? So now that I've talked a lot about these things, I'm just going to introduce myself and then go into how you can do these things that I have talked about. My name is Adora, like the host rightfully said. I'm a software engineer currently building mixed reality on the cloud at Microsoft. I'm also the founder of Nexus Scale, which is an initiative that is helping people start and scale their tech careers by connecting them to opportunities, entry-level opportunities, internship opportunities, or other kinds of opportunities that allow them build so that they can grow with their portfolios. I'm a published author. I'm a digital creator as well, and I'm also the vice president of the VR/AR Association in Nigeria. So now I've just broken this down because I wanted to make this presentation very short. So I broke it down into 3 P's that you need to start your career journey. The first one is ponder. The next one is persevere. And the third one is to propel. So now I'm going to talk about these things individually. When you ponder, this is when you are preparing to take the leap. And at this time, you're reflecting on your skills, you're reflecting on your passions and your aspirations. You're thinking, okay, this is the first stage when you decide, okay, I want to come into tech. This is the time when you decide that, oh, okay, I want to build a tech career for myself, right? So you're now reflecting on, oh, what skills do I have? What am I passionate about? What do I want to contribute to in tech? And as you're doing this reflection, you're also exploring potential career paths for yourself, right? So you're thinking, okay, do I want to go into business analysis in tech? Do I want to be a product manager? Do I want to be like Adora and be a cloud engineer? Do I want to be a designer? Do I want to be a software engineer? What do I want to be? You're exploring different career paths and the opportunities there. If the opportunity for you is that you are checking which one pays the most, by all means, go ahead, please. Go ahead. There's money to be made. There are dollars that you can collect. So by all means, go and grab your money. So you could explore these career paths and opportunities based on what you like, what your skills are, what your passion is. And you can have passion for making money. So that's also fine. You should also in this time build a support network and seek guidance from mentors. The quickest way to do this is to join communities. And I'll talk to you about some communities that you can join towards the end of this talk. If you enter someone's DM randomly and say, please be my mentor, there's a very high chance that that they're not going to answer you, right? So it's always easy to build your network, by using LinkedIn very well. I know many people that have said they've gotten their opportunities from Twitter, but the truth is, as much as Twitter is nice, LinkedIn was created for networking and career growth. And for everyone that has gotten an opportunity off Twitter, there are 10 more people that have gotten that same opportunity off LinkedIn. So you want to tap into that and use it to your advantage. So now let's talk about persevering. Initially, when I was talking about tech needing more women, I talked about the fact that, there is the diversity problem and things like that. Even beyond these diversity problems, there are other obstacles that you'd have to face, especially when you are breaking in. Like imposter syndrome. There are days when you will wake up, and this thing even happens to me, and I've been working in tech for 7 years, right? There are days when you will wake up and you'll be like, please, I'm tired. I don't even know why I'm doing this thing. I can't code. I can't do this thing. I can't be a good PM. You need to persevere through those times. And that is why, in the previous slide, when I talked about getting a support system, it's important, joining communities, getting mentorship, building your network, because there's when you actually do feel like you know what you are doing. It is that community that you have built that would help you. You should also, at this time is when you should also cultivate resilience and confidence to navigating these obstacles, because you will need these things. You will need this resilience. You need this confidence throughout your careers, even throughout your life, to be honest. As you grow in your career, there are more rooms that you gain access to. There's some level of politics that you'd have to start playing. So if you don't develop, this confidence to help you navigate, these different conditions that come your way, you will struggle. So persevering is a second important part of it. After pondering and thinking about what you should do, you should persevere and think about, okay, how I want to overcome these obstacles. You can even create a framework around it for yourself. There are many ways to do this. You should also seek out allies and build a support system to help you overcome hurdles. I know many people that I know many companies as well, even beyond people, that have like, all these diversity groups. So for example, at Microsoft, we have Nigerians and Microsoft community, we have the Blacks and Microsoft community, we have I work in a team called Microsoft Mesh because it's a mixed reality product. We're building the metaverse essentially. So we have a women in mesh community as well, right? And from there, in that women in mesh community, there's some people in that community that are not women. They're actually men, but like they are women allies, and they are important when it's time to, build this support system and, create these policies and things like that will help us overcome these hurdles. So it's also important as well. And I saw a tweet like this a couple weeks ago, and I just really shook my head. And I don't really want anyone to see tweets like this and feel like, oh my gosh, I should not be doing design. Or maybe if it's not design, maybe UI UX in this case is, design. Maybe if it's not design, if someone comes to say, oh, there are so many women doing product management, people should go and do something else. You have clogged up that niche. There are too many women doing design. There are too many women doing product management. But yet, if you check the ratio of men and women in this field, you would actually see that there are more men. So what's this person talking about? And even if there are more women, so what? That's what you want to do. That's what you like to do in tech. Go ahead and do it. And I tell people, take up space unapologetically. Don't apologize for anything that you are doing. So far as you are not being malicious or doing the wrong thing, be confident in tech because you belong there. You belong in tech. Everyone belongs in tech. Everyone uses tech. So everyone should be able to build tech as well. You shouldn't have anyone tell you what you should or should not do in tech. Follow your heart, follow your passion. Or if it's money you want, you can also follow that. Occupy space unapologetically, like I would always say. Now, the third part of the P is to propel. And this is the part where you make the leap. And if you thought persevering was the hardest part, that's a lie, because propelling is actually the hardest part. But the truth is, if you go through that stage of persevering, you would have built that thick skin that you need to propel, right? And what happens here? You take action because, when you've gone through your stages, you've gone through the learning stage and you've gone through, the stages of doubting yourself and you're way past that. So now it's time for you to apply for jobs and pursue new opportunities. Don't let anybody, if you see a job that you feel you should apply for, even if you feel like you don't have all the skills needed for that job, apply for that job. The worst thing you get is a no. That's the thing about life. And if you get a no, you're still in your current state. You've not lost. But if you apply for that job and you get it, you've gained. You have everything to gain and absolutely nothing to lose. So take action and apply for these jobs when they come your way. Go on different job sites and keep applying for as many jobs as you want. You can also exploit your network. So you reach out to your network, say, hey, I finally learned ABC and I have previous experience in this thing. And now I want to come into tech. Do you have any roles that you can recommend me for? Use your network as much as you can. I've seen more people get opportunities through their networks than, just like applying randomly. Before I got into Microsoft, 2 years prior, I had applied for a Microsoft for Africa internship. And I didn't get a rejection, but I still didn't get an acceptance. Up till today, my CV is still somewhere. 9 years ago, my CV is still somewhere. Or rather, no, actually, maybe not 9 years ago. Maybe like 7 years ago, because I was still in here. My CV is still, so I don't know where it is. It's still in the application pool somewhere. But guess what? A couple years later, because I was already building the right networks and things like that, I attracted a recruiter by myself that came to me and said, okay, Microsoft is hiring and we want you to come and work with us if you're interested. So make sure you exploit your networks and you use LinkedIn to your advantage. Embrace the risk and step out of your comfort zone. I've said this thing. Amazing things don't come from doing the same thing all over and over and over again. Right? Look around you in this world. You have televisions, you're using your phone just because someone decided to step out of their comfort zone and innovate and try something new. And the first time the person did it, somebody probably thought they were crazy, right? But it's the crazy ideas that are even the money-making ideas. Not all crazy ideas will be successful at the end of the day, but the successful crazy ideas are even the ones that create the most opportunity at the end of the day, right? And the next thing will be to leverage negotiation skills and secure favorable terms as you propel your career forward. Because the truth is, people will try to lowball you. People will try to give you an offer lower than what you should take in the first place. Don't settle for less. If you can even settle for, longer paid leaves, do it. If you can negotiate for a 4-day work week, do it. Like I would always say, you have nothing to lose and many things to gain. If they tell you no, you are still in your current state. But if they tell you yes, guess what? You've gotten what you wanted, right? So leverage your negotiation skills as well, and that's how you propel. So I'm just going to leave you with this quote by Michelle Obama saying that there's no limit to what we as women can accomplish. So don't let anybody put you in a box. Don't put yourself in a box. You as a woman, your mind alone is powerful. I don't know how many people know it here, but there's a study, and I saw it a couple years ago, that actually shows that women are able to use both sides, think with both sides of their brains simultaneously. And men can, at every point, think with only one side. So if a man wants to think, he has to think with one side. And if he wants to switch, he has to switch. And this is why they say men are not great multitaskers, right? But women can think with both sides of their brain simultaneously, and you see that women are able to juggle many things at the same time. The point is, you have a superpower and you can use this to your advantage. There's no limit to what you can accomplish. So don't let anybody put you in a box, because you don't belong there. This, like I said, I promised that I was going to show you a list of communities that you can join as a woman if you're willing to get into tech. Obviously, the first one on the list is mine. So if you'd like to, start your career in tech, you're looking for opportunities, we are focusing on not teaching people digital skills, but we're focusing on connecting people to opportunities where they can, find jobs and find internships and things like that. So yeah, that's my Nexus skill is the first one there, which is mine. She Code Africa is the next one. They are doing amazing things for women, and I would, recommend that you join them as well. There's also WeTech, FemCode Africa, and if you're interested in cybersecurity, there's the Cyber Girls program that is run by the Cyber Safe Foundation. So you can also look into that. Thank you, everyone. I don't know if there are any questions or if we're doing that right now, but I'll give it back to the host, and then she'll tell us what to do next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adora. Please, I'd like to see emojis with applause. I'd like to see applause emojis in the chat, please, because I was really feeling that presentation. And I took note of some things as well. The 3 Ps: ponder, preparing to take the leap; persevere, which has to do with overcoming obstacles; and then propel, which is actually taking the leap, because there are so many times that we overthink it in our heads, right? We think about all the strategy, we think about the hows, we think about we oscillate between being optimistic and pessimistic, and then we just do not take the leap. We stand in our own way. Thank you so much for that. And one critical thing that I got is, what? Women are needed. Tech needs more women, period. There's no further explanation. Full stop. Tech needs more women.
Period on caps lock.
Thank you so much, Adora. So we'll see you at the panel session. What I'll do now is invite Ifunaya to take us through the Who Am I game, and then we'll take it away. Thank you so much, Adora.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that amazing presentation, Adora. Like, even here, I was like, oh wow. So I'm just going to be running through the next set of games. So really what this one is quite simple. And like I had requested earlier, now the chat room is open, so you can use the chat room to drop your answers. So this is quite simple. We have 3 facts again about their women. That's a hint I'll give you. So I'm being nice by letting you know that it's all about women. So we have 3 facts that have been written down. You just have to say who the person is, and the first person to drop their answer will be the winner. Please remember, as you're dropping your answer, respond to everyone so that everyone can see your answer, and then we can move forward with that. So this is the first one. I'm a human rights activist. I advocate for girls. I received a Nobel Prize at the age of 17. I'm looking out for answers. Somebody said Pakistan girl. Pakistan girl is not her name. Okay, I've gotten an answer from Bumi Acha. And then the answer is Malala Yousafzai. So it's not Pakistan girl. Apologies, Adiola. So thank you, Bumi Acha. We'll be moving on to the next one. I'm an American lawyer and author. I was the former First Lady of the United States, and I have 2 daughters. Looking out for the answers. Okay, I got an answer from Eniola Olatunji saying Michelle Obama. Just in Adora's presentation, she had dropped a quote by Michelle Obama. So yeah, thank you. Eniola Olatunji is the winner of this one. For this one, I'm a novelist and feminist. I have won numerous awards. One of my books has been made into a movie. Who's going to answer this first? Okay, so the first person with the correct answer here, it's actually, we have Adiola and Chisom, but you guys have won before, so I'm going to have to go with Udenze Chidera. So Udenze Chidera won this. The answer is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. For the fourth one, I'm an activist and a politician. I was one of the first Nigerian women to earn a degree from a British university. I was instrumental in organizing the Abeokuta Women's Union. I can see a lot of answers. Okay, so someone has said Kuti. I don't know whether to give this. Well, yeah, you're correct. The answer is Funmilayo Ransome Kuti. She is actually the first woman to earn, or one of the first Nigerian women to earn a degree from a British university. So Iyabo Abati won that. So for this one, I'm a media mogul. I'm the founder of a media and entertainment company. My company produces films and shows that seek to promote the African culture. And somehow so fast, like before I even talk. Okay, so we have Toluwalope Fabumi, who responded correctly to Mo Abudu. So Mo Abudu is the answer to that question. And so that ends it. I'll be handing over to Sharifat to invite our next amazing speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ifuna. That was such a fun session. I wish that I could answer myself just to earn some of the gift. Okay, so for the next session, we'll have Teju Adeyinka to talk us through about how you can design your life and how you can thrive in a virtual world. And of course, it wouldn't be me if I didn't give like a glowing welcome to our speaker. So let me tell you a bit about Teju. She's a product manager experienced in building fintech and Web3 products. She's currently the product manager for integrator experience at 0x, a DeFi infrastructure provider powering some of the world's largest crypto companies. In addition, Teju is building Wakaru, a resource that connects Africans to global remote work opportunities. Before 0x, she was the first product manager at Elicaria and helped ship products such as Send Cash and buy coins. She's passionate about technologies that enables the borderless and inclusive flow of value. And our current areas of focus are blockchain technology and remote enablement. I want to tell us that, guys, don't be deceived by this very short and very brief bio, because I've known Teju for a few years now. I mean, we haven't met before, but I mean, I've followed her work on social media for a few years now. And I mean, I see how she's owned the cryptocurrency space. You know, she puts out well-researched articles for people like me who are curious to learn about cryptocurrencies, blockchain. You know, she's a thought leader in that. So go check her out on Twitter and go through her Medium articles. You'll learn a lot. So I'll just allow her take us through our subject matter today, and we'll take it away. Thank you so much, Teju.
Okay, thank you, Sharifa. Thank you very much for that. I'm trying to share my screen. So. Okay, yeah, got it now. Not sure if can you see my screen? Can people see my screen? Sorry, I can't tell from here for some reason.
It looks dark from here.
Yeah. Oh, it does say screen sharing is paused. Okay, let me try again.
Okay.
How about now?
Better now. Perfect.
Oh, okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you, Sharifat, for that. Welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Teju, like Sharifat said. I'm really excited to be here to share with you. I'm excited to walk through this presentation. I had fun putting it together, so I hope it'll be very useful for you as well. I'm talking about designing your life, thriving in a virtual world, which is something I'm super excited about. So first, just like a brief introduction again from me. My name is Teju, and I'm a product manager at 0x. What's very important is I'm excited about things that make it very easy and possible for the flow of value to be inclusive and borderless, which means whether you're in Nigeria or you are in Pakistan or in some other parts of the world, it's easy for you to both receive and give value. And I'm currently focused on blockchain technology and remote work. I'm also currently building just sort of like my passion project at the moment, Wakaru. I started it at first as a resource for fresh graduates to connect them to internships and work opportunities. And I've recently pivoted it to focus on remote work opportunities for Africans. I have the Twitter page there. If that's something you're interested in, please give us a follow. Okay, and so what we'll be talking about today, I already covered the introduction. I'll be talking about why intentional design is important, especially as a woman, and why now? Why is it possible right now for you to intentionally design your life or your career? We'll talk about starting with life design, because whatever it is that you are trying to design for your career, for instance, has to stem from what you want for your life. We'll talk about designing your career and talk about it in very actionable ways. So what are things that you can start doing immediately? We'll also talk about positioning yourself for opportunities. And in the last slide rather, we'll do a quick activity where together we commit to a next step for you. So why design? Why is it important to design your life? It's probably like extremely obvious already. And maybe I will borrow really from Adora here and ask everyone, why do you think it's important, especially as a woman? Why do you think it's important to design your life? I'm just going to give you like a minute or like 30 seconds to see what people say or general thoughts around designing your life. I can't tell if it's that, oh, okay, yeah, perfect. I can see them all now. I'm seeing to have a focus and work plan. I'm seeing to not be pushed around, which I really like. That's very important as a woman. I also see too many things tend to affect our lives. Those are very good answers, actually. There are a lot of different factors outside of your control that try to affect your life, whether it's family, whether it's society, whether it's like societal expectations, even like your bosses at work. Like everybody has a say over like what your life should look like. And so in this context, intentional design basically puts you in the driver's seat of your life and also of your career, and ensures that as you make progress, you're actually moving towards your personal goals and also in accordance to your values, which are like, what are the things that are important to me as a person, as a woman, as a daughter, as a mother, all of these things, what are things that are very important to me. It also provides what we call a North Star for you to take practical steps and iterate towards the life you want, right? It lets you know, a North Star is essentially something that lets you know, are we going in the right direction? And so whenever you compare what you're currently doing with that North Star, you can say, oh, okay, looks like we're veering off the script a little bit, and maybe we can move around. Yeah, and I believe personally that even despite at the moment, it's clear that there's still like ways to go in terms of like achieving gender equity. I believe strongly that we're possibly in the best time in history to be intentional about your career as a young African woman. And these are some of the reasons why. The first is now more than ever, we're extremely open to global opportunities. So you have things like hybrid work, you have location agnostic roles, which means roles where it doesn't really matter where you're working from. For instance, I work, my company is based out of the US, but they hire from everywhere in the world. So I work typically from Nigeria, but sometimes from other parts of the world as well. You have the internet in your pockets. Adora, for instance, works for Microsoft, which is one of the largest corporations in the world. So there are lots of global opportunities that open up to you as an African woman, as a young African woman, if there are things that you're interested in. Also learning resources. There's an abundance of just like free and paid resources at the moment in history. It's like, if you want to learn anything like machine learning right now, is like all of the rave. You literally can find all of the resources that you need on the internet. So you will find a plethora of both free and paid resources. Also, there's like tailored learning media. So if you're like, oh, I'm not somebody who likes to read, there's video content, lots of video content, free and paid, YouTube. There's audio content, there's AI-powered content, which is basically, that's like one of the things I even use in my work on a day-to-day. I'm trying to figure out something technically, and I asked like an AI chatbot, oh, could you explain this to me like in a short way or something like that? I can go over it over and over again. There's like text-based ways of learning as well. And then also at the point we are in history, there is a lot of companies are being held accountable towards like diversity and inclusion. And so we have much better representation. You have women in different areas and different fields, women who are doing lots of interesting things. And so I think that as a young African woman, if you're looking to be intentional about your career and intentional about your design, we're literally at the best point in history to do that. And so, yeah, we'll start with life design, which is essentially what is important to you in your life. I think something that tends to happen when people think about their career is they look around, they say, oh, this person seems very smart, and it looks like they are working on, I don't know, cloud infrastructure, and as such, maybe I should try to do that. Or this person is working on design and it looks interesting. I mean, all of those things are good because they provide inspiration for you. But I think it's always very important to start with what is important for me. Like, what will make my life feel fulfilled? What will make my life feel great? If I look at myself and I'm in a room by myself and I'm like, oh, this is what I've worked on this year, this is what I'm planning on working on in the next couple of months, what makes me feel like I'm doing a good job, right? And starting with life design can look different ways depending on the kind of person you are. So on the left here, I have a vision board, right? And it covers everything. It doesn't just cover, oh, I want to be a product manager. It like covers, oh, I want to get married or something. I want to have a fancy car. I want to travel. I want to run a business, maybe. Just all of these different things. Or you have something that's more vanilla here, which is what I actually use because it's extremely easy for me to fill out. And then I have like these boxes where I say, my goals for the next year, for instance. I do this like at the beginning of every year, and then I iterate during the year because my goals might change. And I say, oh, when it comes to my family, what are my goals? Maybe it's very important to me to make sure that my mom or maybe my dad or some family members are like well taken care of. Maybe it's important for me to grow in knowledge in certain ways. Maybe this year I want to become more technical. Maybe I have a category here that I call passionate money because I think money is very important to live the kind of life that you want. And so there I have like, oh, when it comes to like money, these are the kinds of things I want to do. But then money is not just like money to me. What's also important to me is how I use the money. So maybe it's important to me that I'm making donations to certain things. So I call that box passionate money. I have like self and spirits, which is basically just me as a person, what's like important to me, what will feel like nourishing to me. I have a creative box, which is what are the things that I'm looking forward to creating this year? Like one of them for me at the beginning of this year was restarting Wakaru and like moving towards a certain direction. I also have like experiences, which is, do I want to travel more? Do I want to try out salsa? Just things like that? I give myself a picture, basically just a screenshot that says, for me, Teju, these are the things that are very important to me when it comes to these different areas of my life, right? And so you have to start from this point where is, if I'm being true to myself, being true to my values rather, what would be like the most important things for me to prioritize? How would I act if I actually wanted to live the life I put in a vision board or in like a box like this, right? Yeah, sorry, next slide. Okay, yeah, and I think it's important to also answer those like no one is watching, because to be very honest, nobody's watching. Like nobody, I mean, like, yeah, maybe people will have things to say, but at the end of the day, it's your life. And so answering very honestly, like if what one of the things you value is becoming a millionaire in dollars, like you should own it and say, oh yeah, this is very important to me. If one of the things that you value is family and making sure that you have enough time to be with your family and friends, like make sure that that's something that you own as well. If one of the things you value is, I want to be able to work remotely so that my time is very flexible, so I can travel, so I can see the world. Yeah, so answer like no one is watching, which I'm going to kind of like violate just a little bit right now and ask you to put in the chat, what is something that you value? What's something that's very important to you when it comes to your life? If you feel like I made my life fulfilling, or my life feels fulfilling, and this is checked off, what would that be? I would like to see it in the chat. I see volunteering, which is interesting. Like, you want to give of your time and of your energy, and maybe even of your money to like causes that you believe in. I see teaching, very good as well. Okay, I'm going to keep moving on. When I see more, I'll talk about them. But yeah, answering the questions for yourself. What is it that you value? I see family as well, very, very important. I see creating content, which is like creating, like putting things out in the world. Being a creator is important, is something that I deeply value. Yeah, parenting, imparting people. I love all of those things I'm seeing. But yes, you should answer the question for yourself. What's most important to me? What counts as a meaningful, successful life to me? Then next, you want to answer, what do you enjoy doing? Like, even when it feels challenging, what kind of work do I enjoy? What kind of work feels fulfilling for me? Even if I feel like at the end of the day, oh my God, today was such a stressful day. But maybe I spent the day creating content. And so I feel like I created out into the world. So I do enjoy that, even though I'm tired or whatever. Then also you want to answer the questions like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What are the things that I'm good at? What are the things that, I mean, when I say what are things I'm good at, it's not necessarily like I just wake up and I'm good at it. Like, you have to obviously like gain skills and get better. You can always improve. But what are the kinds of things that when I learn them, like they come like fairly easy to me? I can practice them. I can get better at them. Also, like, answer the question to yourself: how hard have I even tried at these things? And also like asking yourself, what is simply not me, right? Maybe it's like, oh, I'm simply not a painter. Like, no matter how much I try, if I go to a painter and sit, I will have the worst looking painting there. And so maybe like the work I should do with my life is in like painting, maybe, or maybe I can get better at it. But just starting with answering these questions for yourself. Next thing is, you want to set your short, medium term, and long term goals in line with these answers, or career goals. Right now I'm shifting up to career, but with these answers rather in mind, which is, given what I value, given what I'm good at, and given what I enjoy doing, these are the things that I think I want to do. And you don't have to have all of it figured out. For me, it could look like, I'm currently a product manager. And so for me, it could look like in the next X months, I want to be maybe a lead product manager for something. Maybe I want to be managing other product managers. Maybe in a couple of years after, I want to be running my own thing, but just something that gives me a general sense of where are we working towards, right? And I think like a very important thing to remember here, and Adora mentioned this during her presentation, is to also remember that you are on your own path. So it doesn't matter if somebody is saying, oh, you only want to do it because right now AI is so popular, or you only want to be like UI UX is so crowded by women, and you're going there as well. It doesn't matter, right? Because they don't really have a say in your life. Like, you're picking based on your values and based on things that you enjoy and based on things that you are good at or want to get better at, right? So yeah, next thing is closing the gap. So we've talked about starting with your values and starting with what's actually important to you. We've talked about defining what you want as a result. And so obviously there's a gap between the you now and the you of where you're trying to be. So let's say your goal is you want to be a design lead at a big tech company. I'm just going to go back a little and give like a small anecdote here. One of my friends actually did something like this and said, I want to work in big tech. Like, that's literally her goal. She's like, I've seen people work in big tech. I want to work in big tech. And so she starts to like shoot her shot towards like working in big tech until she found an apprentice product manager role there. And then she plans to like keep on growing there rather. So again, it's just like important to determine what's very important to you. Okay, yeah, so back to closing the gap, which is, there's a gap between the me now and the me that wants to be maybe a design lead at a Nigerian startup, something like that, right? And so I need to first look, what do I need to get there? What are the soft and hard skills that I need to achieve my goals in the short, medium, and long term? So if maybe in the short term, my goal is I want to be a junior product designer, what do I have to do from now till the point that I can become a junior product designer? What are the both hard skills and soft skills? Maybe I need to learn like a couple of tools, technologies. I need to learn about colors. I need to learn about prototyping. I need to learn about wireframing. Or maybe also I need to learn how to work with a team, and that's something I've never done before. So listing these out is very important. Next thing is prioritizing those skills, which is how important is each single thing to the goal I'm trying to achieve in the next term. So say the next term is in the short term, how important is prototyping and teamwork and maybe communication to these things? And so maybe you realize that prototyping is most important because if you can't prototype, you can't be a product designer. And so you prioritize getting that skill done first. So for me as well, it's like I've made a list of these are the skills that I'm missing for the next stage I'm trying to get to based on this design I have for my career or my life in general. And so I've also prioritized, the most important one is I need to be able to do X, so I need to be able to do Y first, because otherwise you'd be overwhelmed because it's, maybe you have 100 skills that you're trying to go after, and that's like too much for you. So you need to start from just prioritizing and deciding what's most important. Next is what can I do to develop them? So for each of these things, so maybe you've narrowed down to there are 4 really important things for the next stage that I'm trying to get to, right? You want to say, what are the steps that I need to get there? And then to also manage that overwhelm, one thing I try to do is to find the smallest next step you can take towards them. So let's say we have decided that it's prototyping that's most important for this product design role that you're trying to get. Maybe what you want to do first as the next step is to find a course. Maybe that's like what's most important. And so the smallest next step for you is I will go to, I think Google has a UX course. I might be wrong, but the first next step for me might be I will go on Google and I will sign up for X course. Like that's just the smallest next step. Now I've crossed that step. Okay, what's the smallest next step? It would be that I would press play on the first video or something like that. So to just recap this, it is you decide what skills you need, prioritize them, and then find the next smallest step towards where you're going. And so yeah, I've got you covered if your general sense. So I'm seeing a lot of people saying what is important to them. And maybe for you, it's, I don't really have answers to those questions yet. So what do I do? Like, how do I start planning? My advice would be to experiment. Like learn. You are like at a great point to learn and to try out lots of new things and lots of technologies. Learn to code, become more proficient with data, learn to make AI prompts, because right now people are making money from prompt engineering, apparently. Learn to write, learn to design. And I'm not saying do all of it at once. I'm just saying if it's not clear to you exactly what you want to do yet, it's a good time to experiment, to follow your curiosity and say, if I could, basically I'm at a point where it's like, I could literally do anything. The world is my oyster. So yeah, learn everything. Maybe you won't end up becoming a developer, but maybe you end up becoming a designer who has good knowledge of code. And so you can make great design decisions as a result. And then, yeah, next, I wanted to go on to positioning yourself for global opportunities. So we've talked about making the decision, deciding what you want to do. So now you've decided, yeah, how do you position yourself, right? And this also works even if it's not necessarily global opportunities that you're looking for, even if it's just opportunities, it works for all of it. And the first thing for me is being your own advocate, like being the person who is like rooting for your own self. Nobody can root for you like yourself. So being your own advocate. And the first is not self-eliminating. This basically means don't reject yourself before you're rejected. I think Adora mentioned this as well, where it's like, if you don't apply for something, there's no way it can come to you. So don't reject yourself. Don't say, oh, I don't know. It's certain kinds of people who are good at coding, or certain kinds of people who are good at product management, or this role or that role. Don't self-eliminate, right? The stat here, the 60-100, is from AHP reports, where they talk about basically how when women are applying for roles, they tend to wait until they can fill out 100% of the job requirements, while with men, it's more like 60%. And so men are like, oh, well, I mean, I can do ABC. I can't do DEF yet, but I will finish it and we'll get it, which is like the right attitude to have, it's like the right approach to have. And women are typically like, until like cross off every single thing, I won't apply. So yeah, don't do that to yourself. Don't self-eliminate. Next is, which is most important, I put this like second because it's extremely important, and then I repeat this: apply, and apply again. I've added the Workaroo link again if you're looking for remote job opportunities. But yeah, there's no way to get a role if you're not applying. Like the first way to advocate for yourself is to tell people, I want this job. And the way to do that is to apply for roles, right? Next thing is to put your best foot forward, to shoot shots on target. So you're not just shooting shots randomly. You want to put your best foot forward. This could look like making sure your LinkedIn is optimized, making sure your resume looks really good, and it's actually tailored to the kinds of roles that you're looking for. I know people like to like spray and pray when they're applying for roles, for a lot of different roles, but you want to, if you find roles that you're very interested in, you want to make sure that you're making a good case for yourself. You're being your own advocate. So your LinkedIn looks good, your resume looks good. If you need a cover letter, it looks good as well. Also, like asking people for opportunities, even within your circle, like tell people, oh, I'm looking for XYZ, I'm looking for an internship, I'm looking for a managerial type role, things like that. And lastly, apply again. I say here, everything can be yours. Even if it's not right now, there's no reason why you literally can't live out what you want. So just keep applying. Sometimes you'll get rejections and it can be very painful and very annoying. But yeah, keep applying. Next. Well, this is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. This is how I sign my emails. I've been signing it this way for years and years, but it reminds me that if I don't get in the ring, I cannot even win in the first place. So if I know I want a certain thing, if I know I want to move in a certain direction, I actually have to make a shot. Okay, yeah, next thing in terms of positioning yourself for opportunities rather is building a portfolio. So you want to maintain a repository of work that you've created. And this, people usually say, oh, if you're a developer, maybe you want to do this. If you're a designer, you want to do this. But I actually think it applies to almost any role. If you're a product manager, a way to maintain a repo is to document things. So write about the time you solved a certain problem, write about user research practices, write about how you built an MVP, write about, just keep writing, make product teardowns of, a certain company in Nigeria is doing something very well. This app is really good. Like write commentary on things like that. And you don't even necessarily have to share them publicly. Publicly is like preferred, but even if you don't want to share them publicly, just have a place that has like all of the different things you've worked on. Even if it feels like I'm still learning, things aren't perfect, you can always start with like a repository. Also write about your successes, write about your failures, write publicly. Writing is a game changer. I can say that personally because a huge part of what makes up my portfolio in quotes at the moment is like things I've written about crypto or just like products in general and things like that. So yeah, right. It might not seem perfect at the moment. It might feel like it's not working immediately. And things don't work like immediately. It usually like compounds. So write publicly. It's definitely like a game changer. I can assure you of that. Also share your knowledge publicly. And lastly here is participate in global non-job opportunities. So it can look like volunteering for something, or maybe a community for people for developers or for product managers, things like that. So I know like there are a lot of them in Africa and Nigeria, but also try and look beyond Africa and Nigeria and see if you can connect with peers globally. And sort of like an interesting story for me was when I was applying for my role, or even before I did, I had joined a cohort of a data program for Web3. And there I met like a bunch of people, including somebody who worked as a data scientist at where I currently work rather. And so just building those connections and having some of the things I worked on as part of that group be a part of my applications, I think were very important to me landing my role, for instance, as well. And then also always be learning. Be intentional about closing your skills gap. We talked about the skills gap earlier. You want to expand to learn about complementary areas within your field. I've mentioned like being a designer who has knowledge of code, for instance. I'm not saying you have to code to be a designer or anything. I'm just saying, even for me as a product manager, one of the things I'm trying to learn and trying to get better at is, I think I've mentioned this multiple times, is like my technical skills. How can I be a better partner to my technical counterparts, for instance? So expand to learning about complementary areas. It could be data. It could even be things that are not necessarily within your job role. So if it feels like, oh, I know everything about design, okay, maybe like branch a little bit into learning about data. So you can do data-driven design, for instance. Take advantage of your current role. Companies to develop new transferable skills and experience. I have like lots of interesting stories about this, which is if I feel like I need to learn something, I will start from within and ask for opportunities. So maybe ask my manager, ask the founders, depending on like who makes the decisions, I see I can't hear anything again. Is that the case with everybody?
Taji, please carry on. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, yeah, take advantage of your current role. So I will always ask, that's one thing I will do. This is an example of also advocating for yourself. I'm saying the kinds of things I want to work on, they're not what I'm currently working. I'm not even saying move my role, but how can I start to do work in X field, for instance? Also, like, be willing to invest your own time and money into your professional development. Again, we talked about like intentional design, which is you're building the life that you want. And so to do that, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. Sometimes you have to put your own time on the line. Sometimes you have to put your own money on the line. Be willing to do that. And lastly, like, leverage peer mentorship. Sometimes people are like, oh, they reach out to people's DMs or like LinkedIn, and they say, oh, come and be my mentor and things like that. And maybe you want to do that because they seem like they have like a high profile and they can present you with opportunities. And maybe it works sometimes. But I would say like a foolproof way of receiving mentorship and learning is actually like talking to your peers, finding people who are trying to do the same kinds of things that you're doing, and mentoring each other, like pouring into each other, talk about the challenges that you're facing, talk about, oh, my goals are actually, I want to get better at doing this. Have you ever done that before? Things like that. So yeah, leverage the peers that you have, like the network that you have currently. Having somebody who is a lot more experienced isn't always the answer. Sometimes it is, but it's not always the answer, and it's not always accessible. But what is accessible is your peers, the people you know who are also trying to learn with you, who are also trying to build with you. And then lastly, I will just like recap with something that I had mentioned at the beginning, where intentionally designing your life and career provides a North Star for you to take practical steps and iterate towards the life you want. So it's not just, oh, I'm taking steps. It also means sometimes maybe I will make a mistake, but because I know where I'm trying to go to, I can take a few steps back, I can change, I can adapt, things like that. Maybe sometimes I don't even get the role I want, but because I know where I'm trying to get to, even while I'm in that role, I can make adjustments. I can talk to my manager about what kinds of things I'm trying to do, things like that. And as I mentioned at the start, for our last slide, or just like the closing for this, I want you to pick your next step. And basically answer the I will question, like what's the next thing that you will do to move towards the life that you want, or towards the career that you want. You can put it in the chat, and yeah, maybe I'll read out the ones I see. Examples I have here, these are just examples. So even if it's something else for you, it could be I will apply for a new role, I will sign up for a course, I will update my resume, I will publish an article, which I'd be excited to see, like somebody say that. I will text X person who is my friend and say, oh, let's talk about this challenge I'm currently going through. I say, and I will apply for a new role. If you can also be specific, like that's actually the best one. I put ... here because I don't know your specific situation, but it could be, yeah, I see, I want to, oh, that's not a next step, or that's a plan. Tell me what the next step is. I say, and I will sign up for a course in renewable energy. I will look up Medium and how to write an article there. I really like that one. I will sign up for tech courses, tailored cybersecurity. So taking it one step from there, or one step further, one of the things that'll be interesting is find the course and actually say, I will take XYZ course on Udemy. I say I will sign up for a course on blockchain in agribusiness supply chain. That's very specific. I will apply for a new role in digital marketing. Yeah, I'm saying like a lot more of those. Thank you for sharing. And I hope you do actually take like the next steps for this. Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to everyone here. I see questions, but I guess we'll take those in the panel session. Thank you, Sharifa. Thank you, everyone, for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Teju. Thank you. My note is full right now. All of the things you said are very instructive, and it's just amazing to just hear. I mean, designing your life. When I think about designing something, you think about designing spaces or designing apps, but it actually really makes sense to sit down and design your life. And it's as simple as knowing what you want, knowing how to start, and even taking those necessary steps as well, to identify that North Star and continue to work towards it. It's amazing. And one key theme in what both of you have said, yourself and Adora, is really in trying to not self-eliminate, being your own advocate, I think is really critical, because a lot of us, we stand in our own way, we doubt ourselves, and we think that, this can happen. And of course, that quote, you lose 100% of the shots that you don't take. And I really, really hope that everyone is taking that on board. I don't see a lot of clap emoji. Please appreciate our Teju for that amazing presentation. Please just shower her with clap emoji and appreciation emoji in the chat. So the next phase is to move on again to Ifunaya. Ifunaya, we've this is like the third breakout session, and you still haven't come forward with what you are going to give the hosts. What's going on? Are you still there? Please take us through the next session.
Oh,
Thank you so much, everyone.
don't worry, everyone will be rewarded accordingly. Thank you so
Great.
much. Thank you, Teju, also for that presentation. I think it was really amazing. So I'm just going to be moving on to our next icebreaker before we enter into the final session. I do hope that everyone is, gingered and ready for this. So for this one, we're calling it fastest fingers. Basically, it's quite simple. So all you'd have to do here is the image has been displayed. An image has been displayed. All I would need you to do is identify the image. Just enter your answer in the chat. So the first person to identify the image and the answer in the chat will be the winner, basically. So this is the first image. I'm looking out for responses on the chats. Please do remember to enter responses on the chat and share with everyone. It's a voice that trapezium. Wow. Okay, so I think we have a winner. So I have seen people who are writing Dubai. Dubai is definitely not the winner, but then I have seen Shola Obasan wrote Borg. That would have to be nullified. Or however, Adeze Eze said Burj. I think I'll just give it to Adeze. So yeah, this is Burj Khalifa located in Dubai. So this is the next one. Still looking out for your responses. Okay, I think we have an answer here. Bumi Acha, you have won before, so I'll be giving it to Joy Ofyong, who said the Great Wall of China. So the next question, this is the next one. This one should be pretty easy. Is it Nigeria? I'm not asking where it's located. It's not Nigeria. I can see people writing LCC, but I actually want you to identify the structure. Okay, so I think there's someone who has said Canopy Walk. That's Elizabeth Abo. So we'll be giving this to Elizabeth Abo. This is the Canopy Walk located in LCC. That's Lekki Conservation Center. So this is the next one. Looking for your responses. France. No, France. Okay, so the first correct answer that we got was from Boyega Olorunfemi, who said Statue of Liberty. And that's the correct answer. This is the Statue of Liberty. Please answer this one. I would like to actually see the responses to this. Oh wow, we have an answer from Charmaine Musheko, who said Taj Mahal. So yes, this is the Taj Mahal located in India. It's pretty good that a lot of people know like the structure. And then finally, this is the last one. Still looking out for responses. Volavo said Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, this is the Golden Gate Bridge. And so that's about it. Thank you everyone for your participation. I can see a lot of answers. London Bridge. But yeah, thank you everyone for your participation. I'll be handing over to Sharifa to continue with the rest of the session.
All right, thank you very much, Ifunaya. Thank you so much. So our next up will be the panel session, which will be centering on embracing equity in tech. and grabbing a seat at the table. And we have our panelists, Folake Owoduni, Adora Owodo, Tedra Adeyinka, who you've heard from, and Benedicta Onwagu. But you haven't quite heard about Folake yet, and I would be pleased to read all the glowing things I have here about her. And of course, you haven't heard about Benedicta yet. So if my panelists could please like share their, let's see their beautiful faces as I speak about them. Hi, Folake. So Folake Owoduni is the co-founder and CEO of Emergency Response Africa, ERA, a healthcare technology company that is changing how medical emergencies are managed in Africa, beginning in Nigeria. ERA saves lives by connecting individuals experiencing a medical emergency to the largest network of community first responders, ambulances, and hospitals to deliver care in minutes using technology. ERA recently partnered with Ekiti State government to improve the state's responsiveness to medical emergency in the public sector. ERA has been recognized for the work it is doing in providing technology-enabled care, including features in national newspapers and leading technology publications. Folake has a master's in global health and development from University College London and a master's in business entrepreneurship and technology from the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. She has over 12 years of experience working in healthcare, marketing, communications, and management consulting with companies in Nigeria, United States, and Canada. She's certified as a first responder with the Canadian Red Cross and is passionate about Africa's rising tech ecosystem and making fast, reliable emergency medical care accessible to all Africans using technology. She's a recipient of multiple awards and development grants, including the Google Black Founders Fund, JICA's Next Innovation with Japan Award, and many others. Thank you very much, Folake. Thank you for joining us. Very long bio.
Very long.
And yes, and amazing. I love it when women took their own. I think we should do that a lot more, please. And congratulations on the recently won MIT Sloan grant. I think I saw that in the news recently.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really great to be here.
You and your team. All right. So then I'll move on to Benedicta, our very own Benedicta Onwagu, who works here at Stanbic IBTC. She's an all-round professional with experience in banking operations, voice email banking, and technology spanning across the telecommunications and banking industries in Nigeria. Before joining Stanbic IBTC, she worked as a lead in the voice email segment of the Tier 1 bank in Nigeria and a telecoms company. During this time, Benedicta gained a wealth of experience in the dynamics of retail environments within the industry. Benedicta is currently the acting head of innovation, digital enablement, and analytics team in Stanbic IBTC Bank. Prior to this appointment, she served as a business analyst on the team, where she delivered milestone projects for the group. She holds a degree in science and technology from the University of Lagos and an MBA from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. She's certified agile practitioner, business analyst professional, and Prince 2, and has a Prince 2 examination in view. When I saw University of Lagos, I was going to say, oh, Pakokai, but I was like, Teju didn't include that in our bio, but so people will think that we've come to form an association here. But welcome Benedicta. Teju and Adora, if you could please share your screen as well. But this is essentially like a view of all our panelists. As we speak, if you feel inclined to ask questions, you can please do so in the Q&A module on this platform, and then we'll take it away. So thanks, guys. Thank you so much for spending this rainy Saturday morning with us. At least I know it's raining in Lagos. I don't know about anywhere else in the world. So to essentially start off, I would ask Folake my very first question, because we need her to lead us in this conversation, because we've not heard our voice and we absolutely want to. So, and here goes. So given that equality and equity, they're typically deemed synonymous. And of course, we know that they're both important, and we also know that they're not the same. In the light of the topic that we're trying to explore today, are you able to help differentiate between equity and equality, at least to set the tone?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot for the question, and really, really glad to be here. The two previous speakers have been amazing. I really enjoyed participating. So when I think of equality and equity, I immediately think of a picture. I'm sure some people have seen it before. If you've never seen it, you can definitely look it up. But it's a picture of three people standing against the fence, trying to watch maybe like a baseball match or a soccer match or some sports match over the fence. Now, the thing is that these three people are of different heights. One is tall, one is like medium, the other one is very short. And so the picture just differentiates between equality and equity by giving, on the equality side, it gives all of them like a box to stand on, the same sized box. And they all stand on it. Now, the challenge, of course, is that the person that is tall can now see. The person that's medium is like, just barely over the fence, but at least they can see a bit. And of course, the short person, they can't see at all. Whereas on the equity side of this picture, the person that's tall doesn't get any box. The medium person gets one box, while the very short person gets 2 or 3 boxes that they can stand on. And the end result is all of them can now see over the fence, and they all get to watch the game. And so I think that picture is a really, really good description of the difference between equality and equity, whereas equality is about giving people the same thing, the same intervention, the same resources. Equity is about making sure that the outcome is the same. So equity basically recognizes that people are not all, starting from a level playing field. Some people are starting ahead of others. And as a result, not everybody needs the same type of resources. And so, of course, the end outcome will not be the same. So I think, core difference between equality and equity is really about recognizing that people are not necessarily starting from the same platform, and therefore they need different resources, different treatment.
Thank you very much, Folake. That was very succinct, and it's also amazing to hear. And that picture puts it in perspective, because I have come across that picture, and I can just imagine. So it's essentially providing a level playing field, recognizing that people are not starting on the same level.
Exactly.
Interesting. Thank you. So I'll go to Benedicta. What does embracing equity mean for you as someone who is playing within the tech industry?
Okay, thank you, Shari. I hope you guys can hear me because it's raining really heavily here. So Folake just really aired my thoughts, on embracing equity in the technology space. So it's basically, recognizing that we all have different needs and we all face different challenges as people. So it is important to provide resources equally so that everyone can maximize their potential, reach an equal outcome. Raising equity is about giving an opportunity to individuals that otherwise may have been overlooked. And I would approach it this way: as an employer of labor, I've seen cases where people are denied, job opportunities, or even an interview, or they've even landed the job and they couldn't, resume or start because of their gender. And maybe for pregnancy reasons. I once had a friend that got a job in my former workplace, and she couldn't resume for the fact that she was pregnant. I mean, to carry out your task within this industry we play in just requires your brain, and a know-how mentality, a can-do spirit. So I think, in my honest opinion, employers should do better in embracing equity to ensure that at least the ground is level for everyone to play equally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benedicta. And I mean, when you talk about employers, I think about our own employer. And I mean, I can name a few examples by hand where women have actually resumed while pregnant, and women have actually been given opportunities, or would I say, have the employer has recognized the opportunities that they've earned, and of course that opportunity has not gone unnoticed, or the recognition has not gone unnoticed, just because of that. So thank you very much for that. So to Adora, so given your experience as a woman in tech, how has that influenced your perspective on equity in the workplace?
So I'm different, so I don't like to answer this question with like myself.
Okay.
Because the truth is, like, I've grown up being used to being the only girl in the room, if that makes sense, because I'm the only girl in my house to start with. So, like from my house already, I'm used to bad boys and dealing with men, right? But going out and like seeing the experiences of other people, and I gave the example of during my talk, I gave the example of ping pong tables as a tool for work-life balance. Like, I really don't know how that makes sense when there are women that, have children, they're supposed to, they have like 6 months maternity leave. Most times they take it from like their 8th month. So when like their baby's like 4 months old, they're expected to go back to work, right? So, okay, what's going to happen to those children? What's going to happen to that child? Nobody's thinking about, and this is something that some offices have already implemented. So I know it's possible, right? And I also like the example that Falake gave when she was talking about the whole equity versus equality picture, right? And my experience as a woman in tech, to be honest, like I said, I don't really know because I've not really been in that situation. However, I feel like there are many opportunities for people to actually do something about promoting equal outcomes, if that makes sense. And the truth is, me personally, I'm tired of telling people what to do to get to that point. Because the truth is, they actually know what to do to get to that point. So I think we need to get to that point where we're holding these people in these powerful positions, these leaders, managers, policymakers, we're holding them accountable for things. I mean, I don't know how to keep my mouth shut, so I'm very good at holding people accountable for things. If you will like it or you will not like it, but I'll tell you the truth. Obviously, you have to place some politics there because you don't want people to now start seeing you as something and the next thing your job is on the line and blah, 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 blah. And somehow, the way politics works generally at the office, right? But I think as people, women in leadership need to throw the ladder down for more women to climb into those positions as well. I'm saying this, but I know it's also hard because the truth is a lot of women in leadership don't actually have the power that people think they have. They are tokens. Like, I have a friend who is a lawyer that was seated at a board. Like, she was seated with the board. She was doing something for them. And these men were just talking about how they want to appoint a woman to put on the board so that they can say that they are a diverse company, that they have one woman on the board, right? If she gets on that board, she doesn't have power to say anything. She really cannot influence as much change, which is unfortunate, to be honest. But I think that we should start holding these people in these leadership positions accountable. We should start putting them in uncomfortable situations. When we go for events like this, we should invite them to these events. We should put them on the panel and we should ask them thought-provoking questions that will make them give answers that puts themselves in a position where when they leave, they have to do something about what they said because they mistakenly promised something in public. We should do these things more often because it's only when we start. I'm a fan of talking about these things, but I'm very action-driven, right? It's only when we actually start doing things to force people and, making sure that accountability happens will we see real change. Because we're seeing slow change, gradual change, but if you actually measure the impact, it is no change at all. Because I gave an example. they're putting women into as tokens in different places, but these women still don't have the power to open their mouth and say something. Because if they try to, they'll say you should shut up, that what do you know, blah, 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 blah. So we need to make them uncomfortable and put them in those situations where they would have to do what they're supposed to do. So more action and less talk.
Thank you, Adora, and that's insightful. It's amazing to hear, because my very next question to you was also going to be, what does it really mean when we say that we're grabbing a seat at the table? And some of your answers in these questions has actually talked about opening our mouths to actually demand for the things that we need to do. So is there anything that you'd like to add to that? Because
yes,
again, like you said, you're different, for an average Joe or an average Jane, like how would they essentially go about navigating those murky waters?
Yeah, grabbing a seat at the table sometimes, like would require you asking for things that you want, right? Because when we think about it, a lot of times we talk about, diversity, hiring, equity, and things like that. When we talk about diverse hiring, people often forget the important part, which is retaining the talent you've hired. Okay, so you hired her when she was 23. She was still single. She had so much to contribute to the company. She worked there for 6 years. Now she's 29. She has had her first baby. But you don't have policies that make her stay. Now she's thinking, okay, let me just stay at home. My husband is rich anyway. Let me start a business. Let me, do all these things. And I know it's easy for people to say, oh, to grab a seat at the table, open your mouth and say what you want. But if that woman opens her mouth to say what she wants in that position, people might not really listen to her, if we're being honest. So I think we shouldn't do this thing individually, but we should do it collectively. Engaging with the people that matter, right? Having these important conversations with the powerful men, the reasonable ones, like telling them like what you're doing is nonsense. Like you can't expect us to do this in this certain situation. You can't expect a woman that just had a baby to do XYZ. And the funny thing is, I said this thing right in my presentation where women are amazing beings because we have the capacity to do a lot. And even in the right situation, if a woman can be many things, what makes you think that if you now don't put the right policies in place, she wouldn't also be those many things and also contribute to the organization and contribute very well, right? Another thing is sometimes I'm just like, even as much as I'm preaching all of these things, sometimes I'm like, see, there's some people that don't rate you. So girl, as much as you want to demand a seat on the table, how about you just going to now create your own table and sitting down there inviting other women to join you, right? And then you create that table, you invite other women to join you. And at some point, some men will see that that table looks attractive and request that they get added to that table as well. And then, people start exchanging, tables, right? Okay, so I invite this man at this table. And then next thing, a woman that was seated here before now has so much clout and, she has done amazing for herself. And then she can go somewhere else that other men aren't, sit down there without being afraid, and she'll be very confident, right? So sometimes, I know it's hard and it's a lot more difficult to do this, but I've done it. Like every single path that I've created for myself in terms of contributing to tech. And this is something that Tejo has also done. Like she has been writing, I don't think, I don't know if maybe at the beginning of her career, she reached out to a bunch of people to say, oh, I want to contribute to XYZ in Web3. And even if she did, and they told her no, she's like, okay, take your notes yourself, no problem. And she went and she started writing, doing research and writing about things that she found, insightful and made sense to her. And now she's someone that people actually call upon. I know that we were featured on the First Check thing sometime last year together, right? So this is not even the first time this is probably the first time that we're on the same talk or panel, but this is not the first time that we are in the same media thing or
I'm being recognized
together, right? And there are many people as well that there's some people that find it easy. You say, oh, okay, I want to join this thing and I want to raise this money, and people will give you and will like you and everything. But for some women, you need to work a little bit more to get these things done. And that's unfortunately the reality. But I really want to tell people that you wouldn't do that forever. At some point, eventually, it will balance out. Once you build that reputation for yourself, everything will be okay. But if you try to request for that seat at that table and you don't get it, go and build your own table. And people will start begging you that they want to come and sit at it too. And then you can raise your shoulder if you want. But
Or we're still
that's
copying. Thank you. Thank you for that, Adora. All right. Okay. So I would ask two questions of Teju. And so what do you think are the most pressing equity issues facing women in tech today? And if you could please share a specific example of when you've had to advocate for yourself or others to achieve greater equity in the workplace.
Yeah, thanks. Sure, I can take those. I think in terms of what the pressing issues are, first of all, there are a lot of different interesting issues. Some of them just like direct, and there are some that are almost like unconscious things that we've just accepted to be the way they are. I think like a first thing that comes to mind was, I'm not sure if it was Adora that mentioned this, but somebody talked about, I don't know if it was like women running large companies, but it reminded me of a stat I saw maybe earlier in the week or 2 weeks ago, where they said that there are now more women that run large companies in America than men named John. So not than men or anything. It's just like there are now more women than men named John. And so you start from large companies, and then as you start to trickle lower and lower and lower, you see stats around fundraising for women across the world, but also in Africa. And it's abysmal. And so even from the point of women trying to create their own tables, women trying to start their own companies, you already see a lot of inequity in those cases. And then you go to just unconscious bias or like some of the unconscious issues that are now part of the fabric of work today. And it starts from things like recruitment, for instance, when people are trying to hire for certain jobs, how they would choose to describe the job to be taken and things like that. And if you're a woman, you're just like, somebody is like, you're going to have to die on the line. I mean, people don't literally say that, but there's certain ways that they describe jobs. And you're just like, you know what? No, I have like a kid, like this isn't really a thing that's going to work for me. So there are certain biases that people already even put when they are recruiting, when they're like constructing job descriptions. Another is the issue of like just unequal pay rather and negotiation. A lot of companies will have you fight tooth and nail for negotiation when we can basically just like solve all of this with some framework for paying people exactly based on the work that they're doing. Like we already know based on like how women are socialized, that it's unlikely that a woman will like fight with you for that extra 4-hour work day, things like that. Like an example, which is like when I'm negotiating something, for instance, a lot of times I like call my male friend and I'm like, they said XYZ, and then they say, ask them for this. And then I call back again and then I say, okay, yeah, I want this. Like I'm literally like partnering with a man to make sure that I get as much as I can from it. Like I always talk about like the audacity of not just a man, but the audacity of like a white man. Like that's the audacity you just take into things like negotiations, for instance. So those are areas in which like you already kind of like have issues, right? We also know that like women, based on like things that Adora and I have mentioned today, like women self-eliminate with like a lot of things, even with like opportunities at work. And I think companies need to be more intentional about providing resources to make sure that women can grow, like regardless of those things. Like sometimes you have women at the table, maybe even, and because of maybe how they got there, like it's not even clear to them that they need to take up space. I think if you're like a manager, one of the things that you should do is like actively like advocate for the women that are around you, to take up space, to speak up, things like that. Like I don't know, it might feel like, oh, this person is they're just not like showing out, or they're just not showing up for anything. But they're usually due to like all of these unseen things, like women just self-eliminating sometimes. And so I think that if you're a manager, you're like in a position of authority, I'm just taking it upon yourself to actually like take steps for that, to place women in things, or to ask for their opinion, to ask for their perspective, to pull them into discussions. I think those are like very important things to do as well. Something else that's like subconscious that I was going to mention is the valuing of like male needs and like male characteristics, and like we want somebody who is aggressive for this sales role. There's like a sense of these are the things that should be valued, these are the characteristics that should be valued, and yet they're usually things that people will term as more masculine. I think it's like being conscious if you're somebody in those positions, to make sure you're not falling into those biases. That's something that's very important as well. Adora mentioned about policies, the ping pong table. I saw a picture on Twitter about a politician. I don't know if she's in South Korea or something. It's an Asian country. And they, I think, are trying to pass some bill or something about not having children in like public spaces or like not bringing children to work. And there's a picture of her sort of like speaking against that with her toddler just by her side. And it's like women, or rather like all of these places not really taking into cognizance that the reason why like society functions the way it is because women are already taking up like a lot of these roles. Basically like making sure that you're not subconsciously like feeding into biases, right? I think, I don't remember what your second question was. I think your second question was about ways in which I've either like advocated for myself or for other people.
Yes,
maybe?
Yes. Correct.
Oh yeah, I think like in terms of myself, it's usually asking for what I want. And I know it sounds like easy when somebody just says ask for what you want. I can assure you that for me, it's not like easy at all. I write down the thing I want. I think about it like 10 times. I ask people, do you think it makes sense? Do you think they'll, like, everybody feels fear with like approaching people with requests. So like feeling that fear is normal. What I've done is usually like I will just talk to the person, I'll talk to my manager, I'll talk to the founders in the case of like Helicarrier. I've already prepped and I've been like, oh, this is something I want to do. And I just try to explain, make the case, oh, I'm looking to grow in certain areas. Is there like any way that I can do that? Examples of like ways I think I've done this is, I think when I was initially going into Helicarrier, I was going in for an operations role, but I didn't exactly want the operations role. I wanted to work in product, like I knew that already. And so as part of the initial, negotiations and things, I had explicitly said, I want to work in products. And like, that is sort of like a deal breaker for me, that I'll be able to navigate, or I'll be able to transition into a product role and things like that. So it's just like coming forward. It's like, I think they say closed mouths don't get fed. So you going out and saying, oh, this is exactly what I want to do and things like that. Ways that, and just like Adora said, it's not just putting the responsibility on you as a person, it's also like responsibility on companies. Ways that I've seen this done, I think this was very well done in Helicarrier as well, where the founders or like your manager, they'll set out time from just like you have one-on-one with these people, and they ask questions. Like they ask, oh, do you feel satisfied with what you're doing? Do you have any issues? Just like proactively asking questions, because you know, as a manager or as a leader, that it can be really hard for people to come to you and say, oh, what I really want is I want to transition into software development, something like that. But yeah, those are sort of like areas where I've seen people push for equity and like people advocate for equity.
Thank you very much, Teju. So, I mean, I'll go to Folake now to just sort of, take us through, how do you think, because she's an entrepreneur and she will be best suited to talk about this. So how do you think we can encourage more women or create more opportunities for women to get involved in tech entrepreneurship and start their own companies?
Good question. I had sort of a couple of things that I wanted to say with that, so I'll try to run through it as quickly as possible. I'm also conscious of time. I think the first thing is to encourage women to be problem solvers. I think there's a lot of talk, about getting into tech, even from an entrepreneurship perspective, start a business. I think we've calmed down, but they used to. Hello? Can you hear me?
Please carry on. I think you're back with us now.
Yeah, sorry about that. So anyway, I was just saying that there used to be a lot of talk about how 9 to 5 is not the way, all of that, going to entrepreneurship. And I think even though we've calmed down, we are still missing the point, right? The point is, I think if women can learn to be problem solvers, we will have more women in tech. We will have more women in entrepreneurship. And I think, maybe our education currently does not necessarily do a great job of that in total. And so that's why programs like this and lots of other programs out there are really, really helpful as well. The other thing I wanted to just quickly highlight is the role of like mentorship and sponsorship. you know, mentorship is one of those things that we hear all over the place. We're so used to hearing mentorship. And it's a fantastic thing. You know, it's effectively having somebody who is, you know, ahead of you in the journey, who has walked the journey that you are trying to walk, there to advise you, be a sounding board, and help you to navigate roadblocks. I definitely encourage women to get into mentoring relationships if you haven't already, and programs that set Hello.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. I guess the rain is really interesting.
Well, I understand. Carry on.
Yeah, I was just talking about the role of mentorship and how, you know, it's something that is really beneficial, because now you have somebody that you can look to and learn from. You know, they say experience is the best teacher, but it doesn't have to be your own experience. So finding ways to learn from other people's experience is critical. I know that on this call, you know, a lot of us here are women trying to advance our careers. So I'll just say a couple of quick tips to make it easy for people to mentor you. Right? So start within your circle. It's always easier for someone to say yes if they actually know you. You can't send, you know, somebody a message on LinkedIn, oh, I love what you're doing, please come and mentor me. Chances are they're probably not going to say yes. So make it easy for them to mentor you by starting within your circle, showing clear alignment between what it is that you are trying to do and what it is that they do. If they see clearly how they can add value to you, it's a little bit easier to say yes. Show what you've already achieved. One of the things that I've really learned in this entrepreneurship space is everybody wants to jump on a moving train. Nobody wants to push your train to start. So if you come in with the mindset of, come and help me, then I will do X, Y, Z, you're going to have a really hard time getting people on board. Whereas if you come and say, you know what, I've done X, Y, and Z, but I really need help to be able to get to A, B, and C. Suddenly people see this as, okay, this person is working, this person is moving forward. I want to be along for the ride. I want to help them on the journey, and certainly have clear goals. But I think the second thing that I want to make a distinction of is what we call sponsorship. This is a term that is far less used. And in fact, I think it might be even more important than mentorship. And I see sponsorship as the next stage, right? So while mentorship is really about, you know, advising and, you know, learning from a person's experience, sponsorship says, I trust you. You have proven yourself as a person that can deliver. Now I'm going to use my own social and professional capital to open the doors so that you can have access to opportunities. I mean, we've already had plenty conversations from the other speakers about how, you know, these opportunities are not always readily open or available. And we tend to, you know, pull ourselves out of it before, you know, because maybe we only meet 60% of the requirements. So we know that those things already exist. And that's where sponsorship can be very critical, because it's really a person who maybe was functioning as a mentor now saying, you know what, I trust that this person can achieve. Let me open the doors for them. And that's where you start hearing stories of, you know, oh, there was a board meeting happening and your name came up. And this person started advocating for you, highlighting all your wins, talking about just how powerful you are and why you're the perfect person for the role. You did not know about it. You had zero say in that conversation, but you had someone that was ready to advocate for you and effectively put themselves on the line so that you can have access to that opportunity. I think, you know, as a whole in the ecosystem, there is not enough of sponsorship. There's a lot of mentorship, and mentorship is fantastic. But if we're talking about encouraging women to feel empowered, to, you know, go and grab a seat, to you know, to step in and solve problems, we also have to have that sponsorship piece, because that's really what will help them to transition. One of the speakers, you know, talked about how, I think it was Adora, about how, you know, the role that men also play in this, right? Because if this space is male dominated, where does the power lie? It lies with the men. So I think, you know, the word that people often use is allyship, right? Is that sense of being an trying. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, please go on.
Yeah.
Please go on.
Yeah. So anyway, just summing up to say that, I think allyship is really powerful as well. And again, if we're talking about interventions on an ecosystem level that can encourage women, we need to make sure that men are a big part of the conversation, that they are making choices that open the doors for women, and that they are willing to also part with some of the power. At the end of the day, it's very, very inconvenient to give up your power, whatever capacity that looks like. And so without men who will, powerful men who will say, you know what, I'm willing to take that step, the journey is a lot harder. So I'll end there. I feel like I've spoken a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, Falakia. That was very instructive. And even the thing with sponsorship also exists in the formal workplace, right? Because you are, as an employee, you're just carrying on about your job, and the next thing you hear, you're being recognized to lead a team, just because of how great you've been on the job. So you don't even have to apply that to entrepreneurship, right? It can just be about you being self-led. All right. Before I take the next question, I want to talk to the participant. I see over 170 people on the call. I need us to be very active in the chat box. If there is anything that you have heard from our speakers that is very instructive to you, please just type it. If you don't write it out, maybe somebody else may have missed it, and we can learn one or two things. So I need you to run a live commentary in the chat box, just to know that you're following. I need to be sure that people just didn't log in and then they are just present on the call. I need to be sure that you're here, and you never can tell. I might want to reward an active participant. So you guys across YouTube, across Zoom, I need you to run a live commentary on the conversations that we're having. So thank you very much for that. I just need to be sure that you guys are following. It's been a bit quiet since the panel started. So yes, and please don't forget to put in your questions in the Q&A box. I'll take them as I ask the question. So Teju, the next question I have for you is really around, the sort of skills that, women need to have in going into this industry, right? But I'll need you to just think about it for a minute. I would ask Benedicta the next question, but I am trying to associate that question with some of the general themes that have actually come on board in the Q&A space, right? So people are asking things around, is there any beginner class or training on tech knowledge that can be signed up for? How can you guide a person with a non-technical background in going into tech? It would be nice for you to also tell them about what your background is. People are asking around what's the best way to get internship for data analytics. Someone had a specific question for you around taking advantage of your current company to develop new skills. I think you had alluded to that in your presentation. Again, the common theme is around how do you start from a non-technical background. So relating that to the question around the kind of skills that you need, I need you to please continue to just think about that for a minute while I go to Benedicta. So Benedicta, the kind of question I really want to ask is around, how do you think women can navigate office politics and build relationships with decision makers to advance their careers? And this is really on the back of some of the things that Falakia had talked about in our submission to the last question.
Okay, so really, politics often are seen as a taboo topic, especially in the workplace, because people always just want to avoid, conflicts. But I tell you, I see office politics as a two-edged sword. It can be wielded either ways. It can be wielded positively or negatively. And when wielded positively, can cause, resistance, can cause disdain in the office. But when it's a tool that can be used positively, as I mentioned, when it's wielded positively, people can then use that tool to make decisions that would not just favor themselves, but also favor people around them. you know, and as much as, you know, we like to avoid politics in the office, they are inevitable, really, because you see them every day happening in the workspace. And how can women then, you know, make use of this tool in their advantage? Know how you interact. This is very important. Who you interact with is also very important. And pick your battles, really. I always tell people, read the room when you walk into an office space, when you walk into a meeting, even if it's a virtual meeting, read the room, understand the body language of the people that you are interacting with. Do not neglect, you know, body language. Understand the dynamics of the topic. Understand what it is, you know, your stakeholders want, and then just give it back to them. And most importantly, again, learn when not to speak. As much as we want to articulate our thoughts, you know, position our point of view, it is also very important, you know, once you've read the body language, once you've read the room, and, you know, there's sometimes you just need to keep quiet and listen. You know, you don't have to respond to everything said. You know, choose your battles is very important, even in the workspace, because politics happen, and, you know, you have to partake in it, whether you like it or not. But you just have to be very wise about your approach, know how to navigate, use the power you have, and know when to, you know, and who to interact with. You know, the flow of information, the flow of power and influence in the workplace can be put to good use when wielded, you know, accordingly and in the right manner. So I just think women should understand, you know, their approach to workplace politics, because we see it every day in the workplace, and we just have to, you know how to navigate our way each day.
All right, thank you very much, Benedicta. Okay, so I would invite Teju to please share that with us. And of course, we recognize the men on the call as well. I've seen a comment asking if men can join. Please, by any means, please. And I hope you guys are still on the call. Remember that we'll be collecting resumes and your opinion at the end of this call. So please stick around. We'll soon round off. So Teju, please take it away. Thank you.
Sure. I think I would start from the life design, or going back to the life design conversation that we had earlier. I saw somebody ask about what should I learn, like are there classes to start with tech? Like tech itself is extremely broad. As you can see, like everybody on this call is doing probably like very different things, even though we all work in tech. So I would say like the first step is deciding what you want to do, or like what piques your interest, or trying multiple things if you don't have that answer yet. So if you don't know exactly what you're trying to do, just trying multiple things, like I said, and, you know, just fine tuning what you want based on that. Maybe you realize that you actually really enjoy design, and so that's the parts that you want to go towards, like indulge your curiosity. Also, like something I had mentioned during my presentation was something I had phrased as always be learning. And I think this, whether or not you're trying to go from non-technical to technical, or you are already technical, the first is like just identifying what you need for the role that you're gunning for. So if you're trying to move into product design, for instance, what are the things that you need? What are the things that a product designer even does? And what does it mean to be a product designer in tech? And what are the skills that you need? It's important to note that not everything in tech is learning to code. There are a bunch of different things. There are business sides to tech. They're legal. I saw somebody who said they are transitioning from law, I think. There are legal sides to tech. There are legal experts in tech who are helping us make sure that like all of the things that we build are compliant with the law, compliant with regulation and things like that. So not everything is learning to code. If that's not what you want to do, you don't necessarily have to learn to code. Also like just leaning into what your strengths are, like what I said before. And if you've decided, oh, this is what I'm going to do, figuring out what the skills are and practicing those. And those could be either like hard skills, which are, specific, I'm learning to code, I'm learning how to design, or soft skills, which would be working on your communication, whether it's written. A lot of technology beyond like building things is actually documenting things as well. So learning how to write better, learning how to speak and communicate your ideas better as well. I think something that's very important if you're just starting out is being willing to take a role, even if it doesn't exactly look like what you're going for. I've seen like one of the best ways I think to get into the non-technical parts of tech is through like a junior customer success role. it gives you usually a bird's eye view into the product from like the customer's perspective. Like you learn so much about what the product is, who the users are, what their pain points are, things like that. So even if you're like, oh, what I want to do is, I don't know, maybe product management or something, like a really good place to start. Nobody, like, it's very unlikely that somebody will say, you know what, I'm just going to make you a product manager, like right out of the past because you took a bunch of classes. But like a good place to start could be customer success. It could be support engineering. It could be things like that, right? An example, like just like a personal example I have, like I mentioned before, was I wanted to do product management, but my company didn't have a product management role open at the time, but they did have an operations role. And so I identified that I would be able to move even while I was there. I'd be able to gain the skills I need and move. And so I took the role. So just like a willingness to take roles, even if they don't exactly like fit your boxes, as long as you know where you're actually going. And then lastly, like everybody has talked about, like advocating for yourself, which is applying to internships, joining communities like Nexa Scale that Adora mentioned, where a huge part of what they're doing at the moment is trying to connect people to internships and making sure they can actually start their careers. So joining communities like that, talking to people. Also, like an interesting fact is the first ever internship I did when I was in university, I got it through a tweet. So that's like something. So I think I was in Unilag at the time, and Unilag was on strike for a short time. So I don't know, there was some riot or something. And so they said, you know, all of you go home. And I think somebody tweeted that he like runs a bunch of companies, and he tweeted, oh, like this is such an annoying situation, blah, blah, blah. And so I go under his tweets and I'm like, hi, do you have any internship opportunities open? I think I was in like my second year of uni. Do you have any internship opportunities open? And I almost didn't send it because I was just like, hey, God, imagine they air me. But like Adora said, if I don't, like, what's the worst thing that will happen? They will say no. Like, and in that case, I'm still in the same situation, right? So I messaged him and I go, oh, I'm actually looking for an internship opportunity. And then we DM'd, and it basically led to a bunch of conversations, and I got an internship. And that's where I started my career from, for instance. So be willing to like shoot your shot also. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Teju. If you could also please share in the chat, like reference links to those courses. I've seen people ask a lot of questions about courses to take if you're pivoting, or what sort of emerging new tech, you know, they can latch onto. But again, if you listen to Teju earlier around owning your goal and designing your life, you will know that you would have to start with what you're really interested in, because at the end of the day, it's really not about what is new and what is sexy. What exactly do you want? So when you start from there, you can then walk back to the how that you're going to deliver it. So so my participants, I can see your comments. Thank you very much for being very active. Don't forget that at the end of this event, we'll need you to also give us some feedback, and you know, for some of you who are looking for opportunities as well, you also have an opportunity to share your resume. Then do not forget our panelists, they're also on social media. If they could also share their social media handles with me privately, I would read it out. And then so some of you can follow them, learn from them. And yeah, so I think let me just go to the Q&A. Someone is asking here, is project management same with product management? No, they are not the same. They are two different things. Faith Adewi, what emerging technologies and trends? Okay, that's the question that I asked. Elizabeth is also asking about courses to take the transition. So Adora, Teju, I mean, they are possibly different things that you could, you know, share with them. You can follow Adora at Adora Nwodo on Twitter and on LinkedIn as well. You can follow Teju Adeyinka, one word, at Teju Adeyinka on Twitter as well, and on LinkedIn. What other questions do we have? Chinoe is asking, saying that, I'm a data scientist, and I'm not sure. Okay, well, I hope I don't misgender you, but Chinoe is saying that she's building in public. I mean, while building in public is great and fantastic, and it brings opportunities, and you know, what can some of us who have tried to build in public do, because it seems exhausting. Teju, at least Teju and Adora, at least I've seen them do that very much. But I mean, if anyone just wants to take the question, for people who are just starting their families, relocation, how can they balance upskilling, work, new families and kids? If any one of our panelists wants to take that, you can please talk about that. I think this is really the only one. Most of the other questions we have are really talking about how they can transition, what training they can take. And don't worry, for those who are asking for the recording, this recording is going to be on YouTube. You would also get a link after this event for you to watch it over or send it to your friends to watch. So who's going to help us take that question? Any one of our panelists?
Dora, you can go first. I just spoke, so after you.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to take the pastor's question. I can only speak for technical parts because I'm a technical person. Because like Teju said, tech is broad. Like there are lots of different things. So depending on what you want to do, but if you want to be a technical person, and technical means you want to be a software engineer, you want to go into data science, you want to go into cloud engineering, network engineering, any technical thing that would require you to understand the technicalities of computing and computers. There's this Harvard course that is free. It's a CS50 course, Harvard CS50. I'm going to type it in the chat. I'll find the link and I'll drop it in the chat as well. It's a Harvard CS50 course, and you can start from there. You learn about operating systems. You learn about programming language. I think the programming they teach with is Python, but programming is just like learning French and learning German and learning English. Like it's syntax at the end of the day, syntax and semantics. And if you understand the structure of a programming language, you can always learn a new one because the idea is mostly always the same. So you learn a bunch of different things just by taking that Harvard course, and that can propel you into, your career. I don't remember. There was another question that I would have liked to answer, but I don't remember the question right now. So I don't know. Maybe Teju remembers the question, or maybe that's the one she wanted to answer.
Is it the building in public one?
Yeah, the building. Yes, thank you. The building in public one. What was the question again about? Like, how do you?
So I think it was about like building in public can be frustrating because like I guess you just keep doing it and maybe there are no results or something. Basically, yeah.
Building in public is important, right? But at the same time, you have to measure the impact that whatever you're doing is making. You have to find a way to measure that. So for example, let's say you're learning something and then you go tweet about it so people know that, oh, I learned this thing in a couple of days ago. As you're building in public, it shouldn't just be about putting out the things that you have learned, right? Because that way, the internet is basically serving as your diary, which is good, but you should also back it up with providing value. And that's where the main game changer is. That's where it comes in. That's where you turn the tables around and then people now start to look for you. For example, let's say me, I was learning about Android development in 2016, and I was talking a lot about what I had learned, But when I started writing about Android, or when I started organizing workshops in, a bunch of tech communities and going on to teach what I had learned about Android, I started getting more offers around Android-related things. Either someone wants to build an Android project with me and they're reaching out to build it together, or someone wants to hire a Android developer for a contract, and they're looking for me. But the main thing, the game changer, is not just only about building in public, but as you're building in public, think about adding value as well, because that's what turns tables around. I mean, it's nice to share what you have learned when you learn it, because someone else might see what you've learned and say, oh, okay, this person just learned this thing, so I think it's important for me to learn it as well. You go learn it too. But the main thing is that you share value as you build, because I'm all for attracting things. I've never had to look for a job in my life before. I've never done it. Even the Microsoft I work in, I've never had to do it before, right? It's either I was in some kind of networking thing and then I got the contact of a recruiter through that, and then the recruiter and I started talking. Or people even directly reached out to me for roles because they had seen other things that I have been doing in the past. So I'm always advising people to work on themselves and add value so that they attract those sorts of opportunities to themselves. So work on adding value so that you can attract things and things can come to you and you're not worried about chasing things every single time. So that's what I.
All right. Thank you very much, Adora. It's interesting.
Sorry, I was going to add.
Okay, please go on. Go on.
Something
please go
on. Yeah, I was going to add, I guess, like also with building in public, there's like a distribution thing. That's if what you're trying to do is like attract jobs and opportunities to yourself, and you've been like building in public. I think like one of the best ways to like distribute your work is to be part of communities that actually like appreciate those kinds of things. So for instance, maybe I know like the Tableau community, there might be a specific like Nigeria/Lagos chapter. Maybe they're like other broader ones, but finding those communities, so you're not just like building all of these things and like hoping for the best. Like finding communities like this where you can actually distribute the content, people that care about what you're doing. Like with Web3 stuff, there's a lot of just like Discord activity and things like that. So if there is, for instance, if I wanted to share an article, it could be like to people who actually do care about like this topic. So there's people on Twitter probably like reading it, but how I get visibility from it is also sharing with the specific kinds of people who work in this space or like value this kind of content. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Teju. Thank you very much. So one last question, and I'll need each of our panelists to consider this under 30 seconds. So it's just in terms of general advice. What personal advice will you give to all women present in this session? And of course, I see some comments around some men here also, them having enjoyed the session so far. So our panelists can just speak to this question. Thank you.
I can start. I think my advice to everyone here would be, just as Adora mentioned earlier, let go of that imposter syndrome in your head. Let go of that voice in your head telling you that you do not fit in. Let go of it. And something else I will tell you is you are worthy. And every day is a new day. Every day presents itself for you to dress up, look pretty, and show up. And when you do show up prepared. Grab a seat on that table because you are deserving. You are deserving of whatever role you've gotten. You are deserving of whatever opportunity that has come your way. I like the flex, I like the flex from Teju. She said she said, or is it Adora? She said she has never had to look for a job before. It shows, the confidence, and she's proud of the work, she has done and she's doing. So every day is an opportunity to sing your accomplishments. Do not be modest about it. You have done the work, you've done the groundwork. Take charge, grab that seat and own a table, occupy the room with whatever it is you're doing. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Falake, please let's hear from you. You're muted. If just in case, please check.
Can you hear me?
We're good. Yes, please. Yes.
I was saying that I'll keep it short. For me, it's something I said before, be a problem solver. At the end of the day, everything in life is a problem to be solved. All of the businesses that exist because there was a problem that needed to be solved and you're doing something for your customers. If you as an individual are a problem solver, that means that any space that you go into, you're going to be adding value. And I think the other speakers have captured it really well. When you add value, you attract opportunities. You don't have to beg for them. You don't have to hustle for them. Not that you don't have to work hard. Let's be very clear. Being a problem solver is hard work. But if you are actively thinking, if you are someone that refuses to go into an environment and wait to be told what to do, if you are creative, if you leverage your network and actively invest in building that network, all of those things contribute to building a fantastic career. So if I can leave with one thing, choose to be a problem solver. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Like there's a lot of content out there on that and it will be really helpful.
Thank you so much, Falake. It's amazing that you actually said that, because I wanted to highlight it after after you made that point during the panel session, because it's just very easy for us to wait to be led, right? So some of us, it's just the natural default, wait to be led. But imagine actually being proactive about some of these solutions that you want to bring on board, either solving a problem or even proactively taking advantage of an opportunity. Thank you so much. Where can we find you online? Your website, social media pages?
Our website is simple, emergencyresponseafrica.com. That's our company website. Please check it out. Shameless plug, if you've never taken a first aid training course, you need to do that. Please prioritize that. There are over 100 people on this call. We are literally on a mission to educate people about emergencies. Like, let's stop, putting our hands on our head when an emergency occurs. To do. So just, small plug. If you only do one thing, please go and take a first aid training course. But I'm also very active on LinkedIn. I love to connect with people on LinkedIn. So please, and I share content from time to time. So please also reach out and connect. My name is literally just Folake Owodunni on LinkedIn. And I would love to connect with everybody on here. eResponse Africa across all social media channels. You can find us there. We're active on social media as well. But thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so Adora, last words. Teju, last words. Maybe I'll just give you both 10 seconds. if that's possible.
So I'm just going to say something I always say, which is, if you really want to learn how to do tech, the best time to do it was yesterday, and the next best time is now. There's nothing stopping you. There's so much on the internet that would allow you, to learn this. So many resources, so many communities, so many people willing to help out. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain if you try. Like, one thing about failure is that you should see it as a motivation. If you try something and you fail, you've just learned a new way to not do that thing again. And if you try it and you succeed, you've succeeded, and that's fantastic, because that's really what you wanted in the first place. So good luck to everyone, and I'm excited to see what you do, what you build, how your career goes, and yeah, have a great day. And thanks again for inviting me.
All right. Okay. So Teju, any final wrap up to wrap up this panel? I mean, the program is still on, guys. We still have about 10 minutes to go, but we'll be wrapping up this panel shortly. So Teju.
Yeah, my short is always be learning and self-advocate. Shoot your shots, apply. You only use 100% of these shots that you don't take. So if there's nothing that like you take out of this, like take that out of this. Thank you for inviting me. I had a lot of fun doing this.
All right, thank you very much for obliging. Thank you so much. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for participating very actively during that panel. So the next thing we're going to do now is to just hear your thoughts. We'll be pasting the link in the survey. If not, would you like to please help with that?
Okay,
so,
thank you, Shasha. And thank you so much to our panelists. Like, really, even I am here and I'm like, I need to do a lot of things. So we promised that there was going to be an opportunity to share your revenue, your resume and your portfolios. So I'll be dropping a link in the chat. Please just use that to share your revenue. Why do I keep saying revenue? Your resume and your portfolios. Also, after that, we'll then be dropping a link for like the survey, and then we'll be rounding up. So let me just quickly share that with you. I'll be dropping it in the chat, so just fill it out. Just hold on. Okay. Yeah, I've dropped it. So please just go ahead, and then we'll be sharing. Some people have asked for the recording. It will be on YouTube, so you can just go on YouTube and watch this. Please go ahead, use the link to share. I'll just keep posting so that everyone has access to it. Once we're done, I'll also be sharing a link for the survey. So really saying thank you to everyone. I'm looking out for your responses.
All right, guys, please let's take about 1 to 2 minutes to fill the form. And once you're done, please just come here and shower our panelists, our guests, with emojis. Just share an emoji of how you're currently feeling at the end of this event. Just I want to see the emojis. I want to be sure that you guys actually stayed with us until the end. I mean, we absolutely have to be thankful for that. Oh, I can see very positive and very positive emojis, very positive, very positive. Thank you very much for that. Please don't forget to fill the survey form just to tell us about some of the other things that you'd like to see next time if we host this event. And of course, you can connect with us at Stanbic IBTC across all social media channels. If you probably have other questions for our panelists, please feel free to approach them on social media and sort of, please don't be too aggressive. You can just respectfully talk to them and tell them, oh, you're at a webinar you attended earlier and you needed them to sort of answer these questions that you possibly think that they haven't quite covered. So yes, I can see very encouraging emojis. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. I mean, it's not easy to spend your Saturday morning at a serious, in quotes, event like this. And it also shows me, that you're willing to always learn. That's one critical thing that was highlighted from Teju's presentation. Always be learning, always be learning. And then you then think about what Adora said about the 3 Ps around pondering and preparing to take the leap, persevering, and then propelling. Guys, I've learned so much today. My notebook is full. Of course, Falake also talked about different things about how to approach entrepreneurship. And she also gave us some tips about mentorship and sponsorship. And it's just very, very critical that, we start within our circle. Something that Tej also alluded to, which is, always talk to your peers, right? Talk to your peers. It's a great starting point. And show clear alignment. It's always good it's always good to have something that you have done before so that you can use that as a reference point to say, oh, this is what I'm working on. This is what I've worked on before. And have clear goals. It's about designing your life. It's about, it's about designing your life. It's about, being audacious. Be audacious like Adora. Adora's background, having grown up with men at home, and then, being in a male-dominated space as well. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much. And of course, Benedicta also sharing with us on how to navigate politics as a woman in tech, in a formal environment, and even in an entrepreneurial environment. Guys, I have learned so much. And yeah, someone is saying this is a wake-up call for me. I'm so glad to see that. I'm so glad to see that. Thank you so much. I think that this may be a very good place to stop today's webinar. If you have more comments and questions for us, you can go on our YouTube to just leave us a comment, leave us an emoji. Go on YouTube and look for this video and share it with your friends that were not able to meet this, right? And please don't forget to fill our survey form. Please, I hope they've put the link on YouTube and across the other channels as well, just so that we don't miss it out. Please, guys, make sure you complete this post-event survey. It's really, really important, please. Ifna, any last words?
Yes, Sharifa. I also just wanted to say that to everyone who I called out their names as winners, please do send your name, phone number to host and panelists. Please try to send to host and panelists so that it's not out there. So please send your name, your phone number, and your address. I can call out the names again just so we know ourselves. There's Chisom Obona, LA. There's Adiola Adenubi. There's Victoria Enosa Bota. Apologies if I'm murdering your name. There's Bumi Acha. There's Eniola Olatunji. There's Chidera Udenze, there's Iyabo Abati, there's Toluwalope Fabumi, there's Adeze Eze, there is Joy Ofyong, Elizabeth Abo, Boyega Olorenfemi, Chermaine Osheko, and Volavo. Please do send your name, your phone number, and your address to host and panelists. I'm looking out for it. Thank you. Please also, as Sharifa has said, remember to fill out the post-event survey. Remember to submit your portfolios and resume. You never can tell where it will come in handy. So we'll just leave the chat room open for some time to get everything
All right.
that we need.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. And
Bye.
always be learning. Take care.